You're listening to the Love Your Neighbor podcast.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us on the Love Your Neighbor podcast. My name is John, and today we get to have a conversation with the Nik Aamlid. Nik, welcome.
Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, yeah. Now I've gotten to know you over the last few years, and so I'm excited for you to share your story a little bit with people that are listening here in Brandon that maybe haven't got to know you. So just start out, tell us a little bit about you, your family, how you got to Brandon.
Sure. Yeah, so it's me, my wife, Stacie, who's home with our kids. I always say after our fourth child was born, we have 5 kids. So we've got one that's going to be going into 5th grade, so she'll be at the intermediate school. So big change for her this upcoming year, which will be exciting. Got a son who will be in 3rd grade, a daughter who will be in 1st grade. We've got another daughter who's in preschool still, and then a son that's going to turn 2 in a couple days here. So she's at home with the Rugrats, and she's been doing that for, probably 4 years. And I always say that, her stress level went way up and mine went way down when she started to stay home. But she's a rock star. So she's at home with the kids. We've got, obviously, like I said, we've got 5 kids in the school system. So that's been awesome. Brandon's been an absolute blessing. I love the community. I work for a financial planning firm in Sioux Falls, so we live in Brandon. I head into Sioux Falls every day for work. So we've been in Brandon. It'll be 8 years, I think, it'll be 8 years in September. Okay. So we've been in the community for about 8 years and try to get involved in a number of different things. But that's kind of a short introduction to us.
Well, I have lots of questions about that. Like, so was there a plan to have a financial planner? I know your wife a little bit. She seems like she's a planner as well. Yeah. Did we plan on 5 kids?
She's the type A one. No, not necessarily. We didn't necessarily go into it with a plan for 5 kids. I think we always kind of wanted a big family. I'm one of 5, so I came from a family with a lot of kids. She's one of 3, and I think we always 4 always kind of stuck out in our minds. But we went girl, boy, girl, and there was just something about that overload on the girl side of things that both of us wanted to try for another boy. I honestly probably would have been fine at 4. The track record wasn't great at that point in trying to get another boy out, and so we had conversations about it. Really, we were on like a 2-year streak there for a while, and we stretched it out to 2.5 between 4 and 5 because we just weren't sure, what we wanted to do there. So that was not really the plan. Kind of just happened, we got our second boy on number 5 and took care of things shortly after that. And so 5's where it's going to end.
5 is okay.
Yeah, we're good there.
We're stopping at a basketball team.
We are. We're good there. Yeah. When they do co-ed, we're in. Okay. We're in.
Because, you think about that, like, long-term planning now. Yeah. Like, the grandkids that you're potentially there.
We didn't think that through. Yeah, that was faulty planning on our part. Yeah, we really didn't think that one through. Yeah, even already trying to keep up with all their activities and whatnot. Like you run every which direction, and you kind of run around like chickens with your heads cut off. But you wouldn't change it for anything. But it's they're a lot to keep up with.
So your kids are involved in sports activities. What kind of activities are they involved in?
I would say right now, sports kind of is where their interests have fallen. Our oldest daughter loves soccer, so she's been doing soccer, basketball, and she's going to start volleyball this fall. So she's excited about that. Our son does a little bit of everything. He's his favorite sport is whatever season it is at the time. So he's done. He just got done with baseball. Had fun with that. He'll do flag football through the FCA league in Brandon in the fall, and then does basketball during the winter, and kind of dabbles with different things during the summer. So even the younger ones are getting into soccer and things like that as they can. They've done a little bit of dance and things like that. Okay. So they get that. They're active kids.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys are talk a little bit about like you and your wife. Where you're from. How did you meet?
Sure.
Were you high school sweethearts?
Yeah.
I mean, tell us that story. We'd love to know.
So I grew up in Sioux Falls. I was a Roosevelt High School grad, so I don't tell many people that in Brandon because I think there's a bit of a rivalry there. And so, but I was a Roosevelt High School grad, so I grew up in Sioux Falls. My wife grew up in Sartell, Minnesota, which is right outside of St. Cloud. We both ended up at SDSU, and that's where we met, actually through FCA. She was a basketball player at SDSU. I went up there to play football. I ended up dealing with some injuries, and FCA played a key role in just kind of my faith walk, I would say. It's been a huge part of my wife's and my relationship is just the faith aspect of it. So I got highly involved in FCA. She started attending as a basketball player, and some mutual friends kind of set us up, and we hung out for a while. So we met at college. We dated for about 10 months, got engaged. We're engaged for about 2 years. I don't recommend a 2-year engagement to anybody. No, that's a difficult 2 years there where it's like, hey, we're getting married. Everybody says, oh, when's the wedding? Well, we're not sure yet. I think flip your calendar twice, and then we're looking at. Then we'll find a date. So
save the date 3 years out. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think they print calendars far enough out for you to put it on there yet. But just know it's coming. So we got engaged, got married right out of college, and then moved to Nashville, Tennessee for about 2.5 years. I got my master's down there in sports administration. She worked as a nurse. She's a nurse by trade, so she worked in peds oncology in Nashville and loved it. So that was an awesome time for us, truly. I mean, one, it's an amazing city, but two, just to be that far away from each of our families, to kind of be on our own, learn how to do life together, and be fully reliant on each other, and not necessarily have, mom and dad to lean on, so much. I mean, we were on our own. So it was, we had a lot of visitors, and we were able to come back once in a while when we could, but to truly kind of figure life out on our own, it was an awesome time. Yeah. So
2.5 years. So I mean, I know a lot of people that traveled to Nashville, for vacations, kind of extended weekends. Yeah. What was that like living there? I mean, it seems like a kind of a cool place to live.
It is. It was fun. I would say, it was fun when we had visitors because we were kind of able to do the touristy stuff. We were busy when we were down there because I had grad school. I was trying to work, weird jobs, just to try to, make ends meet and things like that. And we always say, she was a brand new nurse, and generally in nursing, when you get started, you're working the night shift. And so, a lot of my stuff was during the day, a lot of her stuff was during the night. So we always say we just give each other high fives on the way in and out of the apartment, and that was kind of our life. But it was a great place to live. It truly was. The people down there are amazing, fun area. There's always things to do. I mean, we found great places to go hiking and fun places to golf around there, and just, obviously the night scene, you could just go hang out and have a hamburger and listen to live music that you can't hear a lot of places around here. Like, it was just it was a lot of fun. Packed on a lot of weight while we were down there, eating fried food and southern home cooking.
Food, right?
It was good. But we had
cool.
fun.
Cool. Now you mentioned FCA.
Yep.
Talk a little bit more about that, and how are you still involved with FCA? Do you still have a role with them?
Yep. So I actually just recently stepped on the state board. TJ Carlson is the new state director of FCA in South Dakota. Okay. He's a great friend and mentor of mine. When I was involved at SDSU and FCA, he actually I was a mentor of mine, I would call him. He was a youth pastor, a college pastor up in town, and kind of took time to pour into me and pour into a few others of us who were sort of taking on leadership roles with FCA. And actually, when we were in Nashville was when we got a letter from him saying that he was going to be stepping into FCA full time. Got out of his college pastoring and wanted to get into FCA full time. Did an incredible job with the FCA ministry up there, became the chaplain for the football team, took the FCA program, I would say, from, maybe 15 to 20, kids coming every week to, he had hundreds at some meetings coming and being a part of that, and just able to pour into them and love on them and continue to help them build their faith and build leadership in that way.
Yeah, it's a special ministry. Obviously, Coach Young, Coach Heinitz have been a part of that as well. What's the vision not only at the college level, but talk a little bit about the high school level? Is that how is that a part of the vision? Because I know our FCA in Brandon is really strong.
It is. Yeah, Brandon actually, the high school FC in Brandon is one of the strongest, and even the middle school as well. Coach Lochner's done a great job out there, and he's been involved in it a long time. There's a lot of people involved out there that have done a great job. But yeah, the FCA in Brandon is extremely strong. And they've done a great job with it. And having consistent leadership and a consistent person who has passion to see it through is huge. In high school, Jeff Lukens was that guy at Roosevelt. Sure. We had a great FCA chapter at Roosevelt. But truly, I mean, the vision of FCA is to use the platform of sports to share Jesus and to help people build confidence in that, and they've shifted vision a little bit. For a while it was to and through the coach, where they have a huge heart to impact coaches. And Coach Young, that's been a huge passion of his to reach coaches, because those coaches have incredible influence on their athletes' lives, and we've got amazing coaches in Brandon, truly that have really embodied, I would say the vision of FCA. And they're, it's not that they're beating anybody upside the head with a Bible necessarily, but opening opportunities for their athletes to learn. I would say, treating them with respect, just the way they carry themselves, conduct themselves, the way they coach, the way they love on their athletes. I mean, that's a huge part of it. Sports gives you an incredible platform. It really does. That. Yeah. I know that. I look back on my career and wish that I probably would have understood that platform to a little greater capacity. And who knows, how God, changes my path. If I would have understood that fully back at a younger age. So that really, I think, is what it's about, is helping, student athletes understand the platform that they have and the responsibility they have to use that to glorify Christ, understanding where their talents have come from and the responsibility they have to use that for His glory, I would say is a huge piece of what FCA is trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, it's had an impact, certainly. I've had that experience, the impact it's had on me, as well as seeing the impact it has on athletes and coaches is super positive. We're coming up, school's starting here in about a week. Yep. And there's also a big event you and I have been a part of. You play a very upfront role in the prayer breakfast. Yep. And tell people a little bit about how to get involved at the prayer breakfast. What can we do? Where do we go for that? How do we get involved? Yeah, so August 19th this year is going to be the prayer breakfast. It's always the Friday before school starts, and we host it at the high school. For a lot of years, it was in the commons at the high school, which is awesome. I mean, what sort of town, can you have a prayer breakfast in the commons at the high school? I mean, it's been a blessing and amazing to see. We've actually just last year moved it because of the size that it's grown to. We now do kind of a stand-up breakfast in the commons, and then move everybody into the PAC. Which is awesome. So, really, it's a chance for everybody to come together and truly just lift the community up in prayer. I mean, it's not an extravagant concept, but if you believe in the power of prayer, it's an amazing time for our community. The picture I usually use to paint the power of it is I've been on the Brandon Prayer Breakfast Committee for I honestly don't even know how many years, maybe the entire time we've been in Brandon. So, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. But one morning of the prayer breakfast, I had to run into Sioux Falls to pick something up. And I was driving back out to Brandon early, and it was a cloudy day, and there was one gap in the clouds that the sun was shining through. And as I'm driving back out, it was directly over the high school. Like, it was just, there was one gap in the clouds, sun shining through right on the high school. And I snapped a picture of it, and I just thought, like, that's a picture to me of the power of what the prayer breakfast does, is just lifting our community up, and so that's what it is. I mean, and to get involved, we always need, attend, and encourage other people to attend. That's a huge piece of it. Is just the more people can gather and lift our community up in prayer, the more powerful it is.
We usually try to get businesses to sponsor some tables. We want students to be able to attend for free. Tickets it's $10 to attend the prayer breakfast, and it's not a fundraiser for anything necessarily. The Ministerial Association out in Brandon is a huge piece of it, and so the money that's raised that's above and beyond what the cost is goes to the Ministerial Association and a few other organizations in the community. But it's not necessarily, the purpose of it is not to raise money, but we want students to be able to do it, to attend for free. So we usually have businesses sponsor tables for $75. So if you're a business and interested in doing that, obviously that's helpful. But more than anything, just attending and encouraging your neighbor and friends and family to attend as well is the most powerful thing people can do.
Yeah, I think it's super powerful and because for those that have maybe never been to the prayer breakfast, I mean, it really go through the entire community from our government to our law enforcement, to our teachers, families, businesses. It's a beautiful concept of really covering the community in prayer. And, we've seen it grow. I think of, Paul has certainly been, and Coach Young have certainly been a part of championing this. But
absolutely,
many folks, the ministerial and many other folks have gotten involved to really make this happen. So I would encourage you to check that out. It's coming up here in just a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting. Tell us a little bit about as we kind of wrap up here, Nick. I mean, what after 8 years? I mean, we're talking 5 kids. Who knows how many different things you've been able to be a part of, but it seems like you're always doing something. What do you love most about being in Brandon and serving the community? What do you love about it most?
Honestly, the people. Like we love community is a hard one to define, but I would say the definition of community would be why we chose Brandon. Growing up in Sioux Falls, we lived in Brookings right prior to moving to Brandon, and when we were moving down this way, we looked at a lot of different smaller communities. Neither my wife or I had a lot of interest in being in Sioux Falls. I think we wanted a smaller community. She grew up in a one high school town. I grew up in a town with obviously multiple, and I like the passion that people have for that one school. I love that our kids, at the very onset are wearing, which as an SDSU guy, it's hard for me to say, but that they're wearing red and black, from a young age. Even an NDSU guy, that's hard. It's hard to see that sometimes, the red and black on the kids, but to see them wear Lynx gear, and to be able to show up, for the Pigskin Classic, the pregame tailgate, and have face paint and cheek tattoos and all those things. So it's the people. The people in Brandon are amazing. I would say there's a love for each other there. There's a love for each other's families. I think it's like you hear people say all the time, it takes a village, to raise kids, and for us, from the families that we have on our kids' activities, that if we have to send one of our kids with another family to go to a soccer tournament or a baseball, whatever you just know they're going to be loved on, like they're one of their own. To the coaches that we have in the community, that you send them to a camp or you send them to their league, and they're going to be well cared for. To the churches that we have that are pouring it, like it's just an unbelievable place where they're loved at every level. Teachers, administrators, at every level, you just know that your kids are going to be loved on, and that's a huge piece of it for my wife and I. We've gotten involved on a number of levels. The prayer breakfast is one. I've gotten involved with the Brandon Community Foundation, which has been awesome, just to kind of see the impact that they've had on the community. To coaching our kids' activities and helping in those areas. And everywhere you go, there's just a really neat passion that people have for the community, and it's exciting to be a part of that. Like, it's exciting that people want to be in Brandon, and they want to see Brandon become, the city that we know that it can, and that they're passionate about being a part of making that happen. So I love the vision. And the passion, I guess, ultimately is what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's good to hear, and I appreciate you, stepping up, and moving here, not growing up here, having a little bit of a, seedy past.
Yeah,
You could
I
say,
know exactly.
I understand. But I didn't even know that you've kept
Oh
that.
boy,
I didn't realize that.
I told you, I keep that under wraps. I'm a proud Rough Rider. I really am. But it's easy to every year that we've lived in Brandon and they've played Roosevelt in football, I've gone to probably 3 of those games, and I'll wear Lynx gear. So I'll root for the Lynx. I'm a Lynx at heart at this point.
Yeah, it's amazing how when your kids put on a uniform, how your ideas from before change.
Yep, absolutely.
I never thought I could ever cheer for a Jackrabbit ever, and then I got I got relatives running around, and I'm like, okay, it's different. It changes. So,
but when you know what it stands for, too, I mean, ultimately, like our kids are proud to put on Lynx gear, and I'm proud for them to put on Lynx gear and to wear it because we know what that stands for, and you hear the schools talk a lot about the Lynx way, and that's everywhere. Everywhere kind of has those things, but I do feel like Brandon truly has embodied that they do make it something bigger than just a name on a shirt. Well, you have it on your shirt right there, and I feel like it's something bigger than just a brand on a shirt. I do feel like the community has embodied that, so it does. It makes it you can kind of forget old rivalries and things like that, and really embody what the town stands for.
I think, and when we launched this podcast and we recognized, hey, love your neighbor, LYN, love your neighbor as Christ. I mean, it's in our DNA to be neighbors. And I think that's something, we talk about a lot of the wins here, but I think that's something we can always hold ourselves to, of being that, not just having great neighbors.
Yeah.
Really, what if everybody in our community was committed to becoming a great neighbor?
Right.
And as people are coming, and every time we have this conversation or we talk about Brandon, I always think about the people that that aren't here yet, or the people that have been here for a while but haven't really gotten involved. And community isn't something that it's not like going out to eat.
Yeah,
that's a consumer mindset. Community for me, and I think for you as well, it's much more about contribution.
Yeah.
And when you start giving and you start investing in a place, you get way more back, and that you can't outgive, something like a community. And so that's why we're doing this. And when I asked you, your favorite part, I thought you were going to say Pizza Ranch, because Pizza Ranch is sponsoring this episode. Aaron Hansen, he's great Jackrabbit.
Yeah.
I mean, all-time legend.
Absolutely.
Legend Jackrabbit. So I thought you were going to say Pizza Ranch. So we kind of got off on that trail about loving your neighbor and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But in all reality, it is Pizza Ranch. It's hard not for it to be Pizza Ranch. And, we walk in with our fleet of kids, and I think they get a little excited about that. But the thing is, the older our kids get, the less Pizza Ranch is going to like us coming, because we've got a couple boys that I think can hold their own at the buffet.
Yeah, I know that look.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
When our family walks in and they go,
oh no,
can we order you something? And we're like, I want a hot dog. I want a hamburger. I want lasagna.
Yeah, Dad, you gonna finish that? Yeah,
that's a great thing. I mean, that's what I love about Pizza Ranch. It's a hometown place.
It is, and
nobody. If you go hungry, it's your own fault.
It is absolutely 100%. 100%. It is like it never fails. If we don't eat out a ton, I mean, big family, it's a lot to get all of us fed in an orderly fashion and not annoy everybody around the restaurant with us. So, but
you reserve a room.
Exactly. We pretty much have to, but it never fails when we ask the kids, hey, where do you want to go to eat? We're going to go out to eat tonight. Pizza Ranch. And they love it. They love the food. They love going over, and it's cool to have the county fair right next to it, where they can go and jump on the jumpy houses and play a few games, and it's a great place. It honestly is.
Yeah,
we're frequent flyers there, I would call us. So,
well, if you don't have plans tonight for your evening meal, or for your lunch meal, for that matter.
Any meal. Exactly.
I mean, make sure you get in the Pizza Ranch before school starts. Take the whole family.
Yeah.
And invite Nick and I. We'd come
Please,
we'd love to come with you.
Please. Yeah. And my whole family. Yeah. Yeah. You can't just take John and I. It's the family. It's a family affair. That's what this is about.
And you got to order, and you have, and this is a Pizza Ranch hack. You got to order the blueberry dessert pizza.
Amen.
When you get there,
yep.
And then you have a timeline.
Amen.
When that comes out, you need to have.
See, I'm glad you and I are on the same page there. My family likes the cactus bread, and they're totally fine with, and that's always out there. But I'm the fruit pizza guy. You know, it's healthy. It's healthy.
I was talking with Tiffany, and I was like, this, moving out of the Taco John's deal, which you just go order a taco pizza, and then you just fold it in half, and you can have your tacos.
I like where your head's at.
Pizza.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. You've got it figured out. You stick with John, and good things are going to happen.
As my good friend Scott Tripp says, this body doesn't build itself.
Yeah, that's right. It's a lot. It's years of hard work.
That's right.
Years of hard work. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
I'm willing to sacrifice.
Yeah, so. I'm right there with you.
Nick, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, it was great to get to know you, and blessings to you as school starts, and you get things back rolling with the prayer breakfast. We'll see you then.
Appreciate it. You got it. Thanks, John.
Thank you for joining us on the Love Your Neighbor podcast. The purpose of the Love Your Neighbor podcast is to build community one conversation at a time. You can help us build that community by sharing the podcast on your social media channels and rating our podcast on whatever platform you're listening from. Another way is to let us know of any neighbors who have a story. Go Lynx!